think the biggest reason for making MapMe for me was being able to use it anywhere. And when I say anywhere, I mean anywhere.
But yeah, looks good. But I want everyone to be able to use this anywhere. And so I thought, since everyone is asking for it, let's talk about the features, and I'll explain to you, hopefully in more detail, what the app actually can do. And I thought it would be a good idea to start this off with a small little quick start so that you can basically get started making maps instantly, and then I'll make a full-blown video explaining all the stuff the app can do in multiple videos down the road. But I wanted to get you started as quickly as possible. So when you open the app up for the very first time, you can see the end user license agreement. That is just something you're gonna have to accept before you can start using the app. So we're gonna do that, hit that toggle, and then hit accept. Now, before we're gonna get started with the map, we first need to make sure we have all the packs installed that we wanna use. And to do that, we're not gonna hit the plus button on the right, on the top right, but we're gonna hit the box item on the top left. And when we hit that, you can see there's already a pack installed. This pack is the default pack, but there's also 3 other ones. I'm gonna download these now. I'm gonna speed ahead because it's gonna take a while. I'm just gonna hit the download arrow icon to download them, wait for them to install, and then we're gonna see how we can continue. All right, so all packs are now installed and ready to be used. We're gonna tap anywhere to dismiss this sheet, and we're gonna hit the plus icon at the top right. Now we can give this map any name that we want. Test map for now. Oops, test map, there we go. And we can choose a size for the map. The size cannot be changed later, at least for now. So make sure to use the correct size that you actually want to use with the map. You can do that by hitting the plus icon or the minus icon to change the size in either direction, or you can drag on the label basically to do this more quickly, as you can see here. I'm going to use a 25 by 15 map, just so I can show you a little bit better what's going on here. Then we're gonna scroll down and we're gonna select the 3 packs that we just downloaded so we can use that on this map. And we're gonna hit create document. And there we are. Now we can start creating the map. Absolute basics. You can use your 2 fingers to move around the map just like you would on any other application. So you can pinch to zoom in and out, and you can drag around to move the map around. And that way you can navigate to any space on the map that you want. We are gonna start with terrain. I usually tend to start with terrain anyways, so this is the absolute best place to start. We're gonna hit the globe icon on the top left. And as you can see, the sidebar changed a little bit. We have a brush picker at the top with like the 3/4 circle around it, and we have a plus icon. We're gonna hit the plus to pick a texture. I wanna take the grass texture for now, and then we could also use a paving texture. I think that's pretty much gonna do well. I'm gonna select the grass and start painting in the grass. But I'm noticing that the brush is quite small. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tap and drag up on the knob that is for the brush picker, so the 3/4 circle. And when I drag up, I can increase the brush size. And as you can see, now I'm painting with a much bigger brush, especially helpful if you have a map that is particularly big. I'm now gonna decrease the size drastically, pick the paving texture, and then paint in a path like that. I think I can make it a a little bit bigger. Yeah, there we go. That looks good. That's number one. So terrain layer, this is about all it can do. You cannot erase, but you can paint over. The eraser feature is something I have on the roadmap. It's just not implemented yet, so a little bit of patience and then that will be available soon. Okay, so now we got some basic texture down. Let's switch to the rooms. I want to create a small inn on the side, and to do that, I'm going to select a rectangle, the rectangle tool in the toolbar, drag a rectangle in, and I just want to give this, I don't know, a wall. I can just select that in the sidebar. When I hit the flip texture button, so the walls are actually outside and not on the inside. Then if we switch to the other rectangle tool, the filled out rectangle in the bottom sidebar, we can pick a texture for the floor. Cool, now we have that. We can just drag that around. We can find a nice position. We can change the size a little bit. And I think I want to place a door in. To do that, I'm gonna go to the door icon, which is pretty self-explanatory. And you can see in the top, I have selected this door. And now when I tab somewhere near the rectangle, it's gonna put in a door and it's gonna snap that directly onto the wall. So that's what I wanna do here. I think when it comes to the basic room, I mean, you can get as sophisticated as you want with this, but for demonstration purposes, I'm gonna leave it at that. You can create additional walls in there and you can do all sorts of things. You can get really creative with that. Cool. I think I'm gonna switch back to the terrain layer real quick and create a small footpath to that door, just so patrons can get in easily. Cool. So those are those two layers. Now I want to show you something that is a little bit different, but behaves very similar. We can also switch to the next layer, which is these dots that are connected with a path. And this is I call it the path tool. And what you can do is you can create a variety of shapes and you can apply different types of textures to it. And what that allows you to do is kind of build cliff sides or whatever. In this case, I have a very special one. I'm going to show you a different tool, which is the freeform tool. You can see the one that I selected right now is the freeform tool. And when you tap and drag on the map, you can see you're placing white points with gray points on it. Looks kind of weird. If you've ever worked with Bezier tools in, I don't know, Illustrator or something, you might be familiar with this. So what you can do is you can create any shape you want with this. And I'm going to show you what I am going to do with this right now. We can just go like that and try and make it match the curve of the path that we created here. Might need to adjust a little bit, but it looks pretty close. And what we can do is we can apply this grass texture to it, flip it around, and suddenly it looks like we have some sort of grass growing over the footpath. So that's the freeform tool. I know it can look a little bit intimidating, and I'm aware of that, but it's also very powerful. I recommend you take some time, play around with it, try make all different kinds of shapes and get creative with it. It's definitely worth learning because it's very powerful, and I cannot recommend enough seeing if you can figure out how this works, because that's going to allow you to get a lot more creative on your maps. Don't worry about it, you can't break anything, so just create a new map, see if you can load in some assets, and then play around with it and try to create cool things with it. Okay, so those are those tools. I'm going to save the map real quick. I'm going to do that by hitting the laptop icon with the arrow pointing inward. And when I tap that, you can see it saved the map directly to the iPad. So if I go out of the map or close the app for now, and I open it up back later, I'm going to have the current state of the app restored. Yeah, that's it so far for the path tool. There's a lot more things you can do with that. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but let's keep it at that for now. To the last tool, my favorite tool, and I think also probably the most important one, the object layer. We can hit that box icon, and what you can see is we have all sorts of different things in the sidebar now. We have tons of things. I want to show you real quick that if you tap the tag icon, sorry, not icon, the tag text, you can pick between a couple of filters. That's going to show you all the objects that are in this. For example, you can select camp and it's going to filter the sidebar. You can also filter for small, medium, or large, but I'm going to go into more details how to use that effectively in a different tutorial. For now, we're just going to go, I don't know, maybe, let's see if we have some cool mushrooms. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm just going to select a bunch of these mushrooms. And what you can see is when I tap those, they're going to be added in the top into a queue. And what that does is now with the place tool, when I tap onto the screen somehow, it places those items down and then also removes them from the queue. So you can basically say, I want a bunch of different mushrooms, and you can place those in the queue, and then you can place them on the map. And this feature is basically so you don't have to switch between the sidebar and the map all the time. You can just line up all the stuff and then get going real quickly. Sometimes, however, for example, if we have, let's say, trees, we can see we have a bunch of different trees, and let's say we have those 3 that I have in the queue right now, and I want to place a bunch of these. What we can do is, instead of a place tool, which is this circle with the arrow in it, I can select this tornado icon. And what this does is it places the object at a random rotation, and also it shuffles the list of the queue. So it doesn't remove the items from the queue, it shuffles them. And that lets me place these 3 trees in a bunch of different variations. So you can see I can easily create a forest. I'm going to make sure that some of these mushrooms are poking out somewhere. And now we have something that looks a bit more like a forest. So that's a way that you can easily create variation with the same 3 objects. I recommend you use this when you have like a whole bunch of stuff, for example, with debris, with rocks, with moss, patches, mushrooms. So anything that's natural and should be natural looking, you can reuse the assets a lot more if you use the scatter tool to give them random rotation and make them look a bit more varied. So that's basically that. Let's say I want to snap some of these to grid because I want to have them exactly in a specific position. You can see the icon. The icon was available in the other layers as well, except for the terrain layer. And that's this square with the dot in the middle. And if we tap that, you can see it gets highlighted. And now when we take something, it snaps to half grid increments. Just a neat little trick if you want to position something accurately. However, I don't know, I don't want this to be exactly on a grid. So I want to undo what I just did. What I'm going to do here is in the top right sidebar, we can have this back arrow, which is pretty common for undoing and redoing things. So if I tap that, I can undo and redo depending on which direction I put this. Now here's a neat little trick that I love to tell people is you can do this the same way as you can in Procreate, which is you can tap with 2 fingers onto the screen to undo, and you can tap with 3 fingers to redo. So if I tap down anywhere on the screen, with 2 fingers, it's gonna undo, and I tap with 3 fingers and it's gonna redo. And I can do this a bunch of times. So I'm just tapping with 2 fingers right now, and now I'm tapping with 3 fingers, and I can redo all the stuff that I did. Super simple, super helpful. Love this feature. Now let's say, for example, I am placing another mushroom. Where are they? Mushroom. So there we go. So let's say I'm placing another mushroom, and I'm placing that over here, and I'm noticing that doesn't really make sense. It doesn't grow above a tree. So I want to put this to the bottom. You can see in the sidebar, there's an arrow pointing down towards like a flat thing. You can just tap that and bring it all the way to the back, or you can press the highlighted one, and it's going to bring it all the way to the front. It's highlighted currently because everything I'm placing is going to be placed on the top. If I tap and hold onto the downward arrow, you can see it flips, and the other one is now selected. And now when I place stuff, it's going to be automatically added at the bottom. I'm going to show you one more thing, and I think then we're pretty much done. And that is, if you place something and you think it doesn't look right, I want to rotate it. You can tap these 2 squares that are overlapping right below the downwards pointing arrow. It's going to show you the same controls that we had on the rectangle. And you can use those to scale the object up or down. And you can tap and hold the gray one to rotate it around its middle. I'm going to wrap it up here and save this map, just like I did before. And finally, because I love this beautiful masterpiece, it's a demonstration, okay? But let's say I want to export this and share this with my players. I'm going to hit the box with the outward pointing arrow, and it's going to bring up a little dialog that I can use to export. I can export as is, or I can pick a different resolution, so it's going to get scaled up and be more crisp. Those are MapMe Plus features. So if you have MapMe Plus, you can scale it up to 256 dpi. You can also remove the watermark and export on separate layers, but I'm going to leave it as is. I'm going to hit export image. And what happens is it's going to ask me to add this to the photo roll. I'm going to hit allow. And now this image is directly stored into my camera roll on my iPad. I'm not going to get asked where to store it because it's automatically getting stored to the camera roll right now. I'm going to change that in the future so you can decide where you want to store the map. But for now, if you hit that, you can directly hit to the camera roll and find your map there. That's pretty much all there is for the quick start. I hope you can get started making cool little maps with this, and I would love to see them. So if you decide to give MapMe a try, check it out and create your first map with it, do let me know. Do share them in the Discord. The Discord link is going to be in the description box below, so you can check that out, or you can find the link on the website. And we have a channel in there where we share our maps, our creations, and I always love seeing how people create the coolest maps, the craziest stuff. I really love seeing that, and seeing that the app that I created actually gets used and people make cool stuff with it. So that would be it for now. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope this was helpful, and I'm gonna see you in the next one where we dive deep into the app feature by feature. So I guess I'll catch you there. Peace.